It's great to be here in Atlanta again. My name is Sean Nason, and I have a really wacky title because I keep that title because then it helps me know after I hear what everyone else talks about what I'm really going to talk about in here on this today. So let me start a little bit about myself. I'm not going to go through everything, but it's a little bit of a concoction of a career. I was a professional musician. That's me at 19 years old down there sitting at the piano. Had a wonderful conversation last night. I was a prodigy musician. I actually got more scholarships than the top 10 academics did in my high school combined. I had 23 full-ride scholarships. One happened to be to Juilliard. So then I traveled professionally and then went to work for a little company called Walt Disney. Any of you know that company? Anyone here? A little bit? Yep. But I really had my honor of not just working for Walt Disney, is I had the honor of being a Walt Disney Imagineer. Anyone knows what an Imagineer is? They are the people that create everything. There's only been about 1,800 in the history of Disney, and once you're an Imagineer, you're always an Imagineer. I still have my hard hat that I get to wear. And what's interesting is I heard some discussion this morning about finance people. How many of you really despise finance people in this room? Come on, raise your hand, right? Well, I actually have a bachelor's in finance and a master's in capital finance. And when I left Disney, I controlled about $3 billion worth of capital investment for the cruise line. Anyone like to cruise? I was part of the team that built the the Disney Fantasy and the Disney Dream before I left. And then I got a call to go to a company called Humana, where I met another wonderful speaker that you will hear this afternoon, Kenesha. After about 4 years there, I went to the next logical career move, which was higher ed. Anyone work in higher ed here? Damn, I can't talk bad about them right now. So I was the Chief Innovation Officer at Xavier University in Cincinnati, and then I started Mophie. Here's a little bit of my family. We are still Disney fans. That was in February of 2020. My wife and I did a Star Wars cruise for Disney. Star Wars fans in the room? If you have not done a Disney Star Wars cruise, you need to do one. And I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but it was amazing. My two children, Kayla and Colby, my wife and I will be celebrating 25 years this year, and we are kindergarten sweethearts. And I'm a huge Kentucky fan. We will not talk about March Madness this year and what happened to Kentucky if you know anything about college basketball. Why does this all matter to CX? And I'm going to talk from a different perspective today because I've spent a ton of time in the healthcare space. And we call it PX over there. You guys call it CX. I never knew there was a difference because at Disney, people were people. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. April 15th, 2022. Does that date mean anything to any of you? It's typically tax deadline. But it was 4 days ago. I heard these words. You have cancer. I went in for a colonoscopy and found out that I have a mass that is 90% blocking the left side of my intestine. 4/18, yesterday, is when the journey begins. I met with surgeons yesterday morning. I've met now, we did all this before I got on a flight at 4:40. Did an MRI, and on April 29th, a week from this Friday, I'm going in for a 3-hour surgery to remove about 50% of my colon. Thank the Lord, CAT scans show nothing in my upper chest. There's some spots on my liver that we have to look at. But kind of weird, because we caught it so late, they're going to remove all of it. And the good thing is I may not have to go through radiation or chemotherapy in this process. But the journey begins for me in a different aspect now as a patient and as a consumer in the healthcare space. And I am very well educated in that space. I can tell you the ins and outs of insurance, ins and outs of hospital systems. How many of you are local here? Okay, great. How many of you know in 2018, Walmart came into the space here in Georgia and started these things called Walmart Health? Any of you been to one of those yet? We were the design firm behind all of Walmart Health. The experience, the whole layout. There's about 15 of them here in Georgia, 10 in Florida now. So I really understand the space. This is something I so appreciated this morning. I'm going to tell you this right up front, and if you want to tune me out after this, awesome. I think numbers are bullshit. I think statistics are bullshit. I think NPS is bullshit. I think CSAT is bullshit. And any organization, Kenesha has worked with me on a team, she has heard me say this many times, I make people cringe. Because I say, throw away the fucking numbers and look at the human. If you get the human experience right, you will meet the numbers you need to meet. People say, what does Disney do right? They focus on the human. They don't focus on numbers. Numbers come. Now, I'm not saying data is not important. Data needs to be the validation to the human experience, not data driving the human experience. So please hear me. I believe in them, but I think we as an industry have screwed ourselves, and we need to flop that. And we need to lead with the human. Because organizations, as you see, are more than org charts, strategy documents, and mission statements. I also have this thing when I work with organizations, I take their mission statements and their values when they hand them to me in a PowerPoint, and I rip them and I throw them up because they're meaningless. 5-year strategy plans, strategic plans, meaningless. Because as soon as you publish it, it's old. Focus on the human. You see the little graphic there. Our silo mentality may be getting out of hand. See the little alligators in the moat. How many of you work within an organization where you have tremendous silos and you feel like you can't get shit done? Okay, we'll drink wine together this afternoon. I want to present to you this concept. This came to me during the pandemic with my business partner. We were walking, and he kept talking to me, Sean, what is it? What is it about Disney that was so brilliant? And we were talking about something about ecosystem, and I said, Disney looked at experience, not consumer experience, not employee experience, not digital experience. They looked at experience as a full ecosystem. And that is what I want to give to you today. The web of people, touch points, and systems that combine to define the experiences of the people in the ecosystem. Now remember, you're talking to a numbers guy here, okay? To leverage experience as a competitive advantage, one that increases engagement, loyalty, and revenue year after year requires aligning, engaging, and humanizing the entire ecosystem. I'm not going to go through all of this, but this is what we look at as an ecosystem. Every organization or your organization may be a little different. That's what we do when we work with organizations. We help define what your ecosystem looks like. But let's be real. When people are involved, things get messy. And it's time to rethink our approach as an industry here. Reimagine our relationships and redesign our experiences. And put humans absolutely in the middle of everything we do. and get out of it being just a check the box thing. I loved the talk from Florin this morning on design thinking. I was very fortunate when I was at Disney. I got to attend the Stanford D School and really understand, and I'm going to say this, and this is no offense to what you said, I hate in business that we call it design thinking. It's bullshit. It's called human-centered design. It's a scientific theory and its approach, right? But for some reason, when this scuffle happened at the design school and they broke apart, they felt like they needed to dumb down and not call it human-centered design anymore. And because business people can't call it that, we have to call it design thinking. And we know in design thinking, brilliant, but it's a part of human-centered design. And you have to understand that when you're going in. Mark talked about ethnography. There's tons of pieces to it that design thinking misses. But it does put humans at the middle of everything we do. And this is the result to that. It's a stronger organization whose people are able to make a profitable, sustainable impact on the world. And I don't know about you, and my mission has changed since April 15th, 4 days ago, right? No longer, and I can't say that, you can probably figure out I'm not really a quiet person. No longer am I going to stand aside and let status quo be status quo. Not only just in the healthcare industry, but in any industry. Consumers are leaving people. We are moving into a world, and I want to leave you with this. I got 3 minutes, and so what are we going to do about it? I want you to see, oops, did it come? I want you to think of this matrix and leave with this. High trust, low trust, relational versus transactional. Where do organizations really want to be? Someone shout it out. Top right. The magic quadrant. Where are most organizations? Right? Bottom left. We all know tons of organizations or experiences we have in our life. What's making this more relevant today than ever is consumers are purpose-driven, not task-driven any longer. Why is the Great Resignation happening? It's because people are tired of bullshit jobs sitting behind a desk checking boxes. They want a purpose to what they do. I'm sick of it. That's why I left corporate. It was a wonderful experience. I loved my time at Disney, but Disney's still a big organization, right? Like, let's be real. People want to move to this space. Consumers want high trust, and they want relations. I loved, Mark, you said it. We've talked about it for 15 years. I've published about it. In healthcare, we did this huge swing. We went to high tech and took high touch out of it. You can't do that. You have to find a medium ground to get to the space that is not only high tech, but high touch, because we are still human and we still want relations. And we've learned that a lot these last 2.5 years. So with that, you can follow me here. My handles are Man on Fire Social on some stuff. Our company's Mophie Social. I host a live show every Friday called Experience Friday Live. If you're willing to be transparent on that show, my business partner and I are always wanting people from the industry on that show. Mark did it a few weeks ago, had a great time. Find me today. I did not set up a table because I don't like to print out stuff. My cards have QR codes on the back of them. You can find everything out about us and about what we do and about what I do. But most importantly, find time today, meet someone new, say hi to someone, because you never know what they're going to go through. So thank you, guys.